they received an invitation to go to the summer house of a poet named Lord Byron in 1816. Apparently, it wasn't much of a summer though, because the year before a volcano erupted in Indonesia and it caused like a worldwide volcanic winter.
Wow.
At some point, giant thunderstorm happened, so they all just kind of rushed inside. It was Mary, Percy, Claire, and Byron were the four writers that were there. Byron came up with an idea to partake in a ghostwriting competition to see who could write the most unnerving tale. They were all writing except for Mary because she had writer's block. She couldn't figure it out until she went to sleep that night, and she had a nightmare of a man ghost phantasm thing who was hooked up to like this engine, like a machine. His eyes were closed at first. Then when he opened them, it was like yellow, watery eyes that were glaring at her. She woke up in a panic and she was like, if this freaked me out, this will freak other people out, so I'm gonna write about it. She began writing Frankenstein based off her nightmare, and then she started adding influences from other things. Some of the influences were galvanism. In 1786, there was this scientist named Luigi Galvani. He electrified a dead frog, and when he did so, the legs started kicking. They started moving around, and he kind of started to push this idea that electricity can bring the dead back to life. In 1803, Luigi Galvani's nephew continued his legacy, and he pushed this theory by testing it on a dead man after he had been hung. One of his eyes opened, one of his arms went up, and his legs were kicking. The people that were spectating, because it was done at a college, they thought that this dude was about to be restored back to life. It's pretty crazy. They're just like frying this dude in front of everybody. Everybody's like, oh shit, he's bringing back the dead. This motherfucker's Jesus. Another influence was a doctrine called the nature of the principle of life. And it was pretty much a philosophical doctrine about life, death, and reanimation. Another life influence that may have affected the story in 1815, Mary Shelley, her baby passed away in its sleep. Death and mourning were like kind of just fresh on her brain at the time that she started to write Frankenstein. The story of Prometheus is an obvious influence, as the book is often titled Frankenstein, the Modern Prometheus. Prometheus, for everybody that doesn't know, is a Greek god that stole fire from the gods and gave it to humanity. Him and his brother were actually tasked with creating humans from clay. The title, the Modern Prometheus, was given to Benjamin Franklin when he was out there with his kite and the key.
Yeah.
People gave that title to Benjamin Franklin, and then she kind of took that. I think Christianity also plays a role, considering Victor kind of plays God in the story by creating Frankenstein. I'm not sure if that's like a prominent influence, but I would assume so. Guillermo actually leans really heavily into this, being that he was raised Catholic, and he actually puts Frankenstein on a pedestal that's similar to a crucifix when he's about to get lit up by the lightning. He's like, it's more of like a YMCA type pose like this, but it looks kind of like a